joined. So she's asking, do you think that digital financial inclusion necessarily promotes social inclusion? If not, how could it contribute to greater social inclusion? Anna, I very much believe that digital financial inclusion promotes social inclusion. And that is actually one of the briefs that the one about the or I forgot, the first T20 brief that I highlighted. You should definitely maybe check that out, or I can send it to you. But we actually try to model it within this human development approach, that it's not just impacting the poverty, things like that, but it is helping to get people more socially included and access to a much wider range of things within their communities. So most definitely the evidence would show and support that. And let's see, next question. Let's see, from Ashima. Let's see. What do you think would be the role of Africa in general in terms of achieving and promoting the notion of global South or welfare? So I find what's going on in Africa very fascinating right now, because they have so many challenges on so many fronts, and even with climate change occurring, we're anticipating mass migrations and things that could potentially happen. Even here in India, I look at the temperatures in the northern part with Delhi and stuff, and pollution rates and things like that. But for Africa in particular, I've been very impressed with, given all these challenges they're facing, the mobile money market. They've really found a way to make that work. And some of it also, there's regulatory issues here too, that they've been able to be more relaxed on the regulatory side, and allow in the countries more crossing over between the banks and the telecommunication companies. That's good, but it's also a little dangerous from a consumer protection standpoint. I know we don't have time to get into the details of that, but if you're interested, you can contact me. But I see a lot of potential for Africa, and especially for Southeast Asia, and including India, to look at them as a model for how to make mobile money work and digital financial services work. So what are the reasons of how financial inclusion? Yes?
Ma'am, I'm really sorry to interrupt this way, but my chat box is not working. So can I ask you here,
Yes.
I was not able to type my question. Sorry for the interruption.
Yes.
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, you said that there is a negative relationship between the digital financial services and poverty alleviation in the contemporary times. Ma'am, I just wanted to ask you, in the time of COVID-19, as we are saying, as everything is shifting towards digital services and everything, in your opinion, is there any condition or any opportunity for especially the African countries like Nigeria or South Sudan, for these countries to move towards more digital services from the traditional banking services?
So I think a little bit, maybe I was kind of answering that. Yes, I think what they're going to do is just continue to move forward on the mobile money path. They've been very successful with that. They have the infrastructure in place. They've also been very good about trying to come up with low-cost, affordable smartphones that people in these rural areas can access easily and afford. Also with the farming, on the agriculture side, with the farmers being able to make purchases of seed and to conduct sales transactions and things like that. I see them really as being the model moving forward. They've been very successful on the mobile money front.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, one more question I wanted to ask. Ma'am, you said that there are some challenges also in the process of digital financial services in countries like Africa. Ma'am, there are also problems, like as you've pointed, that infrastructural problems, the high cost banking services, or the the high cost of building big banks, and there has been a major obstacle for extending these financial services to the poor. Like the poor are, they also have the problem from traveling to the rural areas to the urban areas. There is also the problem of red tape,
Yes,
as there is a lack of financial education.
infrastructure.
Yes, ma'am.
Just,
So
just,
how can
just
this be handled?
so I'm going to pick on the case of India in this case. I think India. I do worry about India that the goals are very lofty in terms of getting people accounts and getting them to use them, but for to have long run sustainability, they really need to work on infrastructure, not just the roads and things, and that's to get to the traditional financial services, which in the rural areas still, you have the self-help groups, you've got the bank buses and things that are going out to still the more rural areas. But to get mobile money up and running in India, I mean the internet, there needs to be a lot of in there needs to be resources devoted towards connectivity and making sure that people got stable internet connection. And we're talking 3G, 4G, we're moving into 5G, but India is still really behind on that too. So I think just infrastructure is really going to be important for some of the countries, especially in Southeast Asia.
Thank you, ma'am.
But out
So Hiba,
there's
I
two
know
questions.
that, yes, I was going to say, I know that we're a little bit over. Is it okay I'm happy to stay and to answer questions, but I also know that you have a schedule too, and so I don't want to overstep your
Yes, so
hospitality.
you're welcome, of course. But we are having two remaining questions from Firdos, Malik, and Rajat.
Okay.
So okay, so can you see, or you would like that I read it for you?
So which one would you like me to look at first?
Yes, there is the first one is from Firdos Malik.
Okay. So let's see. What are the reasons of low financial inclusion besides poverty in Southeast Asia? And so that one, Malik, I think we kind of all answered. I think one of the biggest reasons is infrastructure, but others, regulatory issues, are preventing financial inclusion. Legal barriers still, especially for women in some countries, that we need to reduce some of these inequalities. I know in the work that Josephine and I are doing with the data with fintech, we are finding still that for women, youth, less educated, that we are still seeing a lot of these traditional barriers from legislative standpoint, getting access to credit and things like just legislatively and restrictively. There's those kinds of challenges. How digital financial inclusion is helpful for the poor, who are living less than $1 per day. So this one, I think what I would say, because we'd have to pull up the tables a little bit again, the descriptive tables, really check out the paper because you can see exactly who this is. But it's the traditional groups that you would think, that are, low income, women, minority groups, things like these. Those are the kinds of groups that you would expect to be poor, fall in below the poverty line. Is it really possible for the poor people to be included in financial inclusion as public policies? Are we not really working for the poor people? This one I'm a little confused. Let's see, is it really possible for the poor to be included? So the first part of the question, I think a lot of public policy already is around financial inclusion. There's so many international agendas around financial inclusion. Now, whether or not that translates into real action and real movement, I think the data would say for the most part it is in terms of account ownership, but I don't think it's doing enough to promote the usage and to promote people to actively use it and to think about the fact that money, you can get them to open bank accounts, but money doesn't fall from the sky to put into those bank accounts. And so I think this is where we have to also think about these non-traditional services again, like mobile money or non-bank financial institutions, self-help groups like for Indian stuff, how can we help, to translate that into actionable, tangible, workable outcomes? Okay, I'm going to jump to, I think you wanted me to maybe look at Rajat. Okay, so my question is, time and distance is a barrier for traditional bank users, but not for yes, you're absolutely right, but not for digitally financially included users. So how these two work as an instrument variable when we talk of poverty alleviation with, this is a good point. I mean, Rajat, this is a good point. So what it actually does is it works in the opposite direction for those models, because the further the distance, the more likely you are to turn towards things like mobile money accounts, because you can use your mobile phone to conduct the transactions. So you can think about it that way also. So I don't know, did I leave anybody out? Last call, if there's anybody that would love to ask a question, I'm happy to answer. Looking here just to, here.
I think you have answered all questions in the chat box. Nothing is left. So thank you so much, Professor Angela, for such a thought-provoking session that we have today on financial and digital inclusion. I really appreciate at first that you have accepted my invitation, and I feel like really greatly honored that you are here with us today. And yes, it was really just like Vartika is saying, it was such an awesome session that we had in our center. So we're really honored and greatly appreciating that you have been with us today. Thank you so much, Professor.